Okay, abusia yebemo bibia kwaba shronko so ade aba POG Media. So na abusia NPP micro minority group omo try their maximum best say omo be boycott justice Baffoe born in a vetina koso our parliament nti ko hwe de Afenyo markings tire watch say process na koso na wankasa otifi asebi ubetwa na abusia chairman of the committee papa Afenyo Bernard Ahiafo or nature say majority leader Mahama ayawego moche say with or without the NPP minority no dear justice Baffoe boni omobe vetin and the NPP minority group ne pa omon work out enya dear the best topic process na yade ende du ya me no kase omobe vet papa na busuan sem akoso no ese wani ensese me kacho me waste time no mama yanko nkonkuti ensem no mobi na asa na be kono dwumedi wonya like ya me so be like share dwumedi no ma onu aso nsa into me enka dwumedi ni bi medam wase.
Now democracy to be at play. They are in the majority, no doubt.
What is the problem?
They are in majority, no doubt.
This is the preliminary.
But they should allow us. I'm responding to you. See, Chairman.
Please.
Chairman. Chairman.
The issue, but you can't be jumping from this issue.
Chairman. What the majority leader is doing, is not fair. He raises his issues. You don't have to respond. When you are responding, he now determines how you should respond to him. The chief whip has spoken. You have spoken. When you are talking, you don't calculate the hours.
Because
honorable members, order.
When you are talking,
honorable members, on this note, we'll break for cocoa. So it's time for cocoa break.
James Savage to give us updates from the House. James Savage, let's take it from where you are.
Of the committee had called the House or the committee to order to begin the process, indicated that he wanted to do what he called an opening remark. For those who follow the appointment committee exercise, that is synonymous to Honorable Alexander Afenyo marking anytime any vetting comes in. And so when he began his initial remarks, he just at the start of his remarks indicated that And so the back and forth has led to some stalemate at the vetting committee here. Let me just run you through what has been happening. So the majority leader, actually Mahama Yariga, just at the start of the minority leader's opening remark, raised an objection to a line in his remark that sought to describe the nominee Justice Baffoe Boni as a disputed nominee, which the majority leader believes is against the House's orders, or Rule 103F of the Orders of Parliament, indicating that some of those words are not permissible and that they do not describe the character of the nominee in appropriate terms. He raised that objection, and then the minority leader came back to defend his position, and it led to another long back and forth. The chairman of the committee, Bernard Ahiafo, had to step in to call him to order, and then he allowed him to proceed. Then when he was proceeding with his opening remark, the minority leader Alexander Afenyo marking again, as part of his speech, indicated that they, the minority, believe that the processes that led to the removal of Justice Gertrude Tokonu, he said, quote unquote, is opaque and is a travesty of justice. It drew the objection from the majority leader, Mahama Yariga, again, who insisted that those words are not supposed to be used. And at that point, Mahama Yariga then vowed that he will not allow the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo, even an inch to breach the orders of Parliament so far as he is seated at this committee today, and that is what he's been living up to, raising objection after objection into the matter. The chairman of the committee, Bernard Ahiafo, made an initial ruling. He said that any issue that will be raised on the committee which has to do with the work of the Justice Scott Poamang's committee will not be allowed on the vetting, on the committee as part of the vetting process, because one, members of that committee or the justice who led that committee is not here to respond to some of those allegations, and so he will not allow them. Two, that is not the issue before the committee. MP Hassan Tampuli came in to indicate that the chairman cannot make that pronouncement when the minority leader is only referring to incidents that led to where we are now, where we are vetting a new Chief Justice nominee. And so he's basically laying background to the issues that had happened before that. But the chairman, Bernard Ahiafo, insisted that he will not allow for that. It doesn't seem to appear that the two parties, both the minority and the majority leaders, are agreeing on terms. It led to some, at a point, the two parties shouting on top of their voice, and the chairman of the committee has been compelled to, go adjourn the sitting for a while on what he calls a coffee break. I'm sure the two parties will be in conclave to deal with the issues to arrive at a consensus as to whether or not the minority leader will be allowed to continue with his opening remark. It is unclear yet as to whether or not the majority side would also, give up what their stance. We do not know, and so that's the what has happened, leading to the adjournment of sitting as we speak. I will attempt to see if I can get some comments from members who are here, of the public who are here monitoring the process. I see there the Deputy AG, Justice Remsai over there. I see the former Attorney General Marietta Appr0ve also there, and a number of the justices of the Supreme Court all there, having a chit chat as the House or the committee is on break now. Would attempt if I can get a word or two. They are having a conversation. He is there with Justice Atuguba, all having a conversation. And so that's what is happening now. The committee has gone on a break now. We'll be waiting for them to come back to determine whether, especially the minority leader, will be allowed to finish that statement that has brewed all the controversy that has led to the break, and so be taken. But we'll be on standby to see whether they will come back, if the minority leader will finish his statement or not, before the vetting process actually begins properly. For 2 hours, this is what has been happening at the vetting committee, at the appointment committee here in Parliament.
Interesting exchange between the majority and minority leaders on the committee. But looking also at the nominee who is about to be vetted, how did you see his demeanor in that process?
Well, Mami, Justice Paul Baffoe does not look like someone who is worried at all about what has been happening. In the midst of chin on his hand, or just sitting straight in his chair with his both hands folded and just observing what is happening. And so the nominee himself, from what we've seen, his demeanor at the committee, it does not look like someone who is worried or perturbed about what is happening. You could only see his colleagues who are behind him only at one point or the other, getting close to each other, having a bit of conversation with each other. But it does not look like none of them, apart from the committee members, are worried about what is happening. And so he's been cool, calm, and collected throughout these 2 hours of the back and forth between the minority. But as to whether he's affected in any way by what has been happening, we would know when the vetting process itself starts properly, which will show in how he approached the questions and his mannerism to the answers to the questions when the vetting process now resumes in a short while.
All right, James, thank you very much for the updates from Parliament. We'll definitely get back to you when the vetting process resumes. And you're still watching Joy News here. We're live coverage in Parliament showing you the vetting procedure of the Chief Justice nominee Paul Baffoe. We'll take a break. We'll return shortly when the vetting resumes.
It was the same vetting process that gave us the issues that we had some time ago, of which we have petitioned Parliament for a decisive decision should be taken on this particular matter. So seeing this particular process re-emerging in Parliament, we are a bit worried. But we know that Parliament is the platform where the political statements are made, where it's at the pinnacle of political game, and we know that this is part of the process of playing that particular political game. But we think that at a point in time, we should be mindful of the platform that we have and make sure that we are able to push through the national issues to a particular conclusion. This morning, we are watching this particular situation with a very, very, very heavy heart. I don't know the words to use right now, but we have continuously seen that the temperatures are rising. The situation, if not properly managed, could get out of hand. And we have been at preliminary stage for over 1 hour. And even the nominee hasn't even mentioned his name. And we don't know what is going on. And we think that our members of Parliament are people of reason, and they should know that the whole nation, and as the chairman said, the whole world is watching us. If we cannot take the process of vetting a step further, then we don't know why we are there to do a particular work.
Well,
because
kindly conclude that point.
Okay, because the whole nation is waiting for a vetting to be done on a nominee to head our judiciary. Now the stage has become a banter for procedural matters and political discourse and banter. I think that we could do ourselves better than what we are doing now. So we are hoping that now that they've gone on this short risk test, they will come back refined, make sure that the procedures go through, and ensure that their political matters are put aside and dealt with at another appropriate place, which will be the chamber of the House.
Well, thankfully, we are joined again by Mr. Japamesa. You've been in the House, and we often see these exchanges, heated exchanges on the floor of the House. We know that the orders of the House are equally important. But on the committee level, like this, with such protracted arguments, going back and forth on what the procedure should be, looking at the posturing of both leaders in the House and even the chairman in adjudicating this process, what do you make of it? Is it right? Is it fair?
giving the minority a fair deal. And I'm not saying so because I belong to the NPP. Look, this whole process of appointment of a Chief Justice is a political process. Parliament is a house of record. And so if the minority has any position, it is only proper that they put it on the record. Okay? So that posterity can have the benefit of what transpired during the vetting of the Chief Justice. So I would have thought that because there's already a precedent that has evolved since 1992, the majority will allow the minority to make their points. And to seek to want to prevent them from doing so, to seek to want to put impediments in their way, is what is dragging the process. And I don't think that that is helpful for the Ghanaian people who are spending precious man hours waiting to watch the vetting proceed. And so I would think that we should call a spade a spade. What the minority, of course, they have the numbers, and I agree that at the end of the day, it is the numbers that will make a determination as to whether the Chief Justice is confirmed or otherwise. But allow them to make their point. That's the beauty of democracy.
Of the House. And you raise it. And also the majority leader raises the issue of Order 237, that the conduct of justices of the Supreme Court and also the Speaker isn't brought to the House except by motion. You know, all these points have been made, yet minority leader insists on pushing through with that statement, which has already been dealt with the House.
From what I said, they are red herring. Okay? No substantive matter regarding the conduct of the committee has been put in issue. In any event, people are entitled to their own opinion. And so if they make the point that as far as they are concerned, the processes that led to the removal of the Chief Justice, as a background, narrating the facts as we all have read, seen, observed, how is that wrong? How does that put the conduct or the integrity of the justices of the Supreme Court who sat on the panel into disrepute? With respect, I fail to see that the points that the majority is making can be sustained. It's just not right.
But also, so he's also
the reason why the minority will have its say is to allow them a platform to amplify their view, and then the decision is taken through a vote, and you have the numbers. So how can't you allow the minority to speak and add their views on what they see to be the case relative to the appointment of the current Chief Justice?
But also the point about the members of that committee or that probe aren't present, cannot answer for themselves. You know, when the minority leader began with the committee, the Parliament committee, and the processes that went through with former Chief Justice.
This is not an adjudicatory process.
So
you would say that one party is not present and you are making an allegation against them. And so to the extent that they do not have a right to respond, don't make a comment.
Well, the minority leader mentions situations as in they proceeded in an opaque manner, and even some travesty of justice, making such comments. You don't think they should have?
But we come on your TV and your platform every day to air our opinion. That's exactly what we're doing right now. It's not an adjudication. It's a parliamentary hearing to establish the capacity of the Chief Justice to occupy the position that he's been nominated to by the President.
Okay.
As a form of background, the minority says that, look, we have a problem with the process that led to the appointment of Justice Baffoe. And so we are going to make preliminary comments in that regard, just so that Ghana can capture it for posterity. How is that an adjudication that then says that, well, the comments that you are making affect somebody who is not here, and we cannot give that person a right to be heard, and so don't make those opinionated statements? For the life of me, I cannot understand.
So now we look at this being going on for 2 hours. How do you see the posturing of the chairman in dealing with the issue?
I hope that they've gone into conclave to have a discussion between leadership on how to proceed when they return. And from where I sit, if the two leaders take the entrenched position that, look, we want to make our statements regardless, and the majority takes the position that we're going to object to every line regardless, then it's going to be a long, drawn-out process. Because I don't see the minority walking out. If they do, then that leaves the floor for the majority to do whatever that they want. They can even probably proceed to vet the nominee in 10 minutes, like happened in the past when some ministerial appointments were done in 10 and 15 minutes. Okay? If the minority decides to stay in the room, then there's going to be a stalemate, because the minority will insist on having their say so that the process can continue. And I would think that in a decent democracy, the majority will accommodate the minority to have their say so we can make progress.
But Mr. Ajapamesa, is it also not fair that this same issue was raised in the House and concluded upon by both speakers of the House, Mr. Alban Bagbin and also Akuffo? Why then do you bring the same issue on the committee?
But of course, the parliamentary plenary session is completely different from the vetting. The vetting has the nominee present. The nominee was not in chamber. I am not even aware that the issue had come up at plenary. Many Ghanaians who don't follow parliamentary process will never know. And so to make it part of your preliminary comment at the end, to draw attention of Ghanaians to what is prevailing at this moment, I don't see anything wrong with it, in all honesty.
Okay.
Because, Mamiesi, you would agree with me that, like I said from the very outset, this is a political process.
Right.
And so the minority is entitled to do the politics and make their political statement for Ghanaians to appreciate in context what the issues are. I frankly cannot see why we cannot allow that process, which, for want of being repetitive, has been the practice since 1992. How is it not going to be accommodated today?
So your point of view now is that the chairman has to allow the minority to make their statement.
Read whatever he wants to read.
Okay, abusia teacher say when some so our political hiring such as a back and forth so which is a parliament house and vetina a year Justice Baffoe Bonny the vetina so parliament such as a majority group and it is a NPP minority kokosono achiama mutitiru aye Afenyo markings and it is a Mahama Yariga is a back and forth on kwano mokono wa and this for the almost with the omujina standby or monitor system and also monitor process na NPP minority group no ekosoro ebafoma papa ye friend Justice Baffoe Bonny or mobile vetting and there averting the china as averting na the chinya busuan sama akosono ano eden me mu besi na madam asese mo je peni me kuti sama ekoso our political hiring so aha POG Media madam asese